So this is Six Senses Laamu. Currently, we have 94 villas in this amazing island, and we always start with this picture because we have our flying turtle right above the property. So we have our own private seaplane for about 2 years or something, and it just flies Male to Laamu. So it's just working for our property. And it just takes the Six Senses guests. So Laamu is south to Male, and it's around 65 minutes of a ride. I know that when we listen to 65 minutes, it sounds quite a long time, but this is all that you'll be seeing throughout the whole trip. So it goes out in very, very fast. It's very easy, 65 minutes of seaplane. And also, in case the international flight gets there a little bit earlier than the seaplane is authorized to fly that day, we also have the Six Senses Lounge. So everyone has access to it, all of our guests for both properties. They get to have a shower, eat something, enjoy a drink, and just relax for a little bit and then jump on the seaplane. It's also available going out of the properties with a fee. And it's a private Six Senses Lounge. In Laamu, then in the villas, you will see that the style of the villas, it's still very much the original style of Six Senses. So you're going to see a lot of wood and also a lot of the bright colors, the blues and the greens everywhere. And that's something that you need to remember when we move on to Kanuhura, because that's one of the main difference between the two properties. Also, not all of the rooms have pools in private swimming pools in Laamu. So it's important if your guests really want that, and it's a very specific request, you always let our reservations team know so we can only quote and give you availability and block the villa that has pools. Laamu, as well as Kanuhura, both great for couples and families because all the infrastructures are adapted to that. So if it's just a couple, we have the differences for two packs villas, but then we also have the family accommodations. On the family accommodations, it's also important to mention that, for instance, this one is our biggest one. So it's the 4-bedroom one. And it's great also for a group of friends that sometimes we don't think of it because we're booking the group of friends and we always ask for quotations on independent villas, try to place them together. But this is actually very nice option because everyone gets their own room, private room with bathroom, and then they get to enjoy the whole common areas as the living area, the kitchen, the outside pool, and everything else, and get to be together because we cannot guarantee, sadly, before arrival that the villas are going to be placed together, and this is a way for either family or the friends to all stay in the same place. Then moving to the F&B area, the offers are amazing. As always, Six Senses is very focused on the offer that we have of food. We even have the program Eat with Six Senses across all properties that focus on having the most fresh food, the more healthy one, without depriving anyone from anything. So especially at breakfast, it's where we showcase this Eat with Six Senses because you have access to all sorts of food. Plus, there's always chefs there cooking. Imagine you get there and there's a specific type of thing that you want to eat. In either property, you always have a chef that can prepare it for you and serve it, and you don't have to go out of your usual routine, which doesn't happen quite often because when you're, away, either it's Maldives or somewhere else, we have this amazing buffet breakfast. So everyone kind of goes away a little bit from their routine. But still, in terms of F&B, different choices also for lunch and dinner. Also more Asian focused option too here. We've got the Leaf restaurant. That is this roof that you can see in the middle of the picture, that it's more plant-based. It's inspiring the organic garden that you can see around. And the Sip, that it's more of a casual type of food. It's next to the pool, so the idea is to be a little bit more casual so you can still enjoy the day, enjoy the pool and the sea. The Leaf restaurant, the plant-based one, it's the only place that it's adults only in Laamu. So any other place for activities or for restaurants, it's always available for adults and kids. Leaf, we decided to make it more of an adult place, so kids beneath 12 years old are not allowed here. We've got, of course, the ice creams that we always show. So complimentary ice creams as soon as breakfast ends, everyone can go by the ice cream stand and just take. And when I mean everyone, it's both adults and kids. So it's just not a kids thing. Everyone can collect their own ice cream and just enjoy it as many as you want throughout the day. Next to the main island, where all the villas are, where all the infrastructures are, we also have two private islands. So two deserted islands, but we use them for activities. Either if you want to spend the day in, a family setup, like you see in the picture, and you just want to have the day for yourself, as well as in both hotels. Most of the wedding proposals also happen in these private islands because it's quite the experience to come back home and say that you had a private island in the Maldives just for yourself. In regards to wellness, the spa in Laamu, it's quite special. They're all outside, all the treatment rooms, exactly like the one you're seeing now. So they're all these sort of nests in the middle of the island. It's a private part of the spa, so you won't have other guests going around. So all you can hear, it's the sound of nature and the ocean, and enjoy your treatment there. And it's a full outside spa. Then regarding to wellness, and also later we're going to see sustainability, we have this whole range of activities, mostly focus on underwater activities in Laamu, but you have all sorts as well. You have the aerial yoga that you can see, access to the gym 24/7, different spa treatments, something more relaxed like yoga or meditation, and then of course the sustainability activities where you learn how to do your own soap or even pickles, for instance. And in sustainability, because it's such a big focus for the brand, but also for Laamu, we have this amazing space called Shell. That is the first building that you see here in the island after the check-in area. That it's only focused on marine biology. So we have our own biologists there in the island, and the idea behind it is to take care of all that it's sea life on property and in Maldives. As everyone knows, Maldives, it's a very populated destination as tourism. And we want to make sure that we do our part in, keeping the sea life in order, keeping all that it's around the property for years to come. And that includes as well working together with different associations in Male and in the rest of Maldives to make sure that kids and adults, they know not to approach sea life when they're diving, for instance, the basics of the use of plastics in these islands and so on. For the kids, all these spaces is very interactive because they get to mingle with marine biologists there, and they also get to dive and do water activities, and then they even get the little diploma in the end to become a marine biology for Laamu. So it's all the activities, either if it's for more, smaller kids or more teenager, all the activities are very interactive. And it's important to mention that just because the space that we have dedicated for kids, we call it Grow with Six Senses. It's our kids club, basically, but it's more on an educational side than the usual kids club where you just paint or do, activities more ludic activities, I would say. So here we always dedicated to some time to learning. They get to dive the same way, but then they speak to the marine biology and they understand more of the sea life, or they get to do the pickles, but then they understand what's the difference in not wasting food. So there's always this educational side. And then to end the presentation in Laamu, we always show this picture of surfing. So it's one of the best properties in Maldives to do surf. And you don't have to be certified, neither for this or diving, important to mention. The team in place will always go with you. So you'll always have someone doing surfing or diving together with you. But in this case, imagine that you're certified or your guest wants to travel with their board, they can do so. You just have to let us know so we organize seaplane and everything else. The special thing about this type of surf here is that it's not the usual out of the beach surf. So you don't go from the sand and immediately into the waves. You go on a boat to the middle of the sea, and that's where you get these waves, and that's where you do the surf. So it's a sort of a middle of the sea type of surf. Then from here, we fly to Kanuhura. So this is our newest property in Maldives. Laamu just celebrated its 13 years, and Kanuhura opened last 2023. So it's much more recent. It's a very, very known island, I know, in the market. And now with Six Senses, I think we just upgraded the whole experience that you can get in this beautiful island. It's much more, as you can see from the picture, a beach resort. So that's one of the differences as well between Laamu. There's a lot more of white sand that you can walk and enjoy a proper beach property. While in Laamu, I would say that it's more focused on diving. So different differences between the two. Kanuhura is north to Male, and it's about the 45-minute seaplane ride. We don't have a private seaplane yet for this property, a flying turtle. However, we do have the agreement in place that our guests are the first ones to be dropped off. This means that independent of the different guests from different hotels that jump on the seaplane at the same time as the Six Senses ones, ours are only going to land one time and that's it. So that's our first property. So it's not private, but in the way there's this comfort that you can access the Six Senses lounge and then you won't be landing and going up again. You just land one time and that's it. This Kanuhura has 91 villas. Only 85 are operational. I mentioned this because in some information, in some communications, we've got the 91, but operational right now, it's only 85. And you can see from this picture, when I said in Laamu, just memorize the style of the rooms because it's very, very different. The decoration, it's much more Mediterranean, a little bit more modern. You still have the whole Six Senses feeling in it and the Maldives one as well, the barefoot experience, but it is a different style. And that's important to keep in mind because you know your guests very well and you know if they like this modern style more or the original one, more rustic. And that's gonna help us also decide to which property they should be going. All these details that you have on their preferences, either if it's more of a beach property, if they like underwater activities, or if they like to sunbathe a little bit more, whenever you ask our reservations on the Oahsis team to quote and to give availability, all these details are very important because we can guide you to which property they're more fit to. Are over water. And then here again, we also have the main, the biggest accommodation, I mean, with 3 bedrooms. And again, same thing. So for families or for friends, it's great. And the biggest accommodation has this amazing space outside. All of the families, everything that it's more than just 2 adults, have this amazing space outside. You have barbecues in something that you can use. We can book a special dinner if it's a celebration, for instance, there. And they have amazing outside area with a pool and all the lounge areas too. So imagine a whole extended family just staying here. They have plenty of space. In terms of F&B, again, different options too, as well as the destination dinings in both the islands, or as I said, in the villas when it's allowed to, when we have the infrastructure to do so. This one that we're seeing now, it's the market. It's the main restaurant where, again, we have this beautiful breakfast. And also twice a week, we have a buffet dinner that we try to change the theme so we can, you know, if guests stay, especially during summer, guests stay more than 2 weeks, sometimes they have plenty of options to choose from the market. Sip and Sand, which is more casual again, but open for lunch and dinner. And we also have Bottega, that it's 100% Italian. And of course, the point that it's the Spanish restaurant. So the chef there is Spanish, and the whole menu it's also Spanish inspired. So great for our guests, and it's amazing view. So you have these 2 levels. So you have the pool level with more of a casual food because you enjoy during the day with a cocktail, and you still enjoy the pool and the sea. And then during the evening, we open the lower floor for fine dining, and you have this amazing view over the sea, especially on the top area where we see this picture, because you're right above the sea line. So it's quite a spectacular view. Besides all these offers in property, we also have 2 deserted islands. Well, actually, one deserted and one half deserted, so we don't have any rooms or any other thing besides you can see the little 2 umbrellas there in the first island, that it's the Drift Restaurant, which is an F&B structure that can provide us, to have a barbecue lunch there or to have a different celebration. It's important to mention, since I have you here, that it's going to be closed during this summer season. So we're going to move everyone possibly to the point in this sort of experience. And we're still working on different offers, maybe picnic somewhere, but we're going to renovate the full space to have it as a proper restaurant. So once it opens after the summer season, it's going to be even more spectacular. It's a deserted island again. So no one's there. It's very private. You book it for a special celebration. The barbecues that we have very often for birthdays can be done there, and it's going to be just amazing. So we need to go through this process of being closed, but then it's going to reopen as an amazing space. At the spa, all the areas are for women and men. However, the access to the water facilities, as you see on the corner, so the jacuzzi and the cold water experience, they're separate. So you can still have a couples treatment if you wish to, but then access to the water, it's just separated, male and female. It's just a detail that we like to mention because, especially if you're on honeymoon or a special celebration, sometimes they do want to access all the facilities at the spa together, but we have that division between male and female. Different activities as well, always a calendar of activities weekly. And mentioning this for both properties, you do not have to be in the water in either property if you don't want to. So the activities are obviously water focused. We have a lot of diving and the snorkeling and the surf in Laamu. But imagine that for some reason you have a guest that do not want to, but still wants to be entertained. There's different activities from sustainability to wellness. You can do the workshops here, cooking classes, and it does not involve you being specifically inside the water. This room was created for teenagers that we feel that sometimes are a little forgotten because we have sometimes very focused activities for kids and then for adults, and they're in between, it's a bit forgotten. So we created this area for them to, to enjoy some time, to mingle. And at the end of the day, it ends to be a family room because after dinner, everyone just wants to be together. And it's still a great moment because families get to meet each other on property and they get to mingle and just create, relationships there. Then in terms of water activities, snorkeling and stand-up paddle as well. We also have diving, and we have a very amazing thing in Kanuhura that is just a boat ride away from our property. That we have a little turtle nest, let's say. So you do the snorkeling there or diving, and you can be as close as this to a turtle. And speaking about sea life, the difference between the two properties, I would say that more easily without going into water. In Kanuhura, you can see some manta rays already, sometimes baby sharks too. While in Laamu, you would have to dive to see the different species. So it's not so close to the beach as we see in Kanuhura. But then Laamu also has this amazing reef, beautiful and very well preserved. So it's again very different styles in properties, even though you can dive in both or snorkel in both. So it's important just to know exactly what your guest is looking for, and then we can advise which one is best. And I hope I didn't run over my time.
Explicado fenomenalmente bem.
Perfeito
Gracias.
português.
Gracias. Súper bien explicado.
Thank
Gracias,
you.
Sara.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know if you have any questions.
Sí, ahora es el momento de que hagáis todas las preguntas que se os vayan ocurriendo.
Tenemos una ya en el chat.
A ver.
Nos pregunta Ana Cebrián sobre
Weather. The weather in October. I've been not in October. I've been there last November and the weather was amazing. As you know, anywhere we cannot guarantee how the weather is going to be. The truth is, rainy season is from May to October, more or less. However, it has changed very much in the last year, the weather, because usually peak season, it's very safe and there's no rain. And last peak season, sadly, we had a couple of days with rain during December. So everything is changing. A lot of people are actually focusing on summer to come because during summer, you know you're gonna get rain eventually. So it's not as disappointing as if you book a peak season and then you get a day of rain. So they're focusing on summer for that and expecting that because we had it before, hopefully the summer is gonna be very, very good there. So I would say October, you might get a couple of, rainy days, but it's mostly good. And also it's important to mention that in the Maldives, when we say rain, it's never a full day of rain or a full week of rain. I think that's very, very rare. It's usually, those tropical rains. It rains the morning, very heavy rain, and then immediately dry, and you get to still enjoy the afternoon or the other way around. It's not ever a month of rain or anything. Let me see other ones.
Gracias, Sara.
Nos preguntan,
Minimum stay in Laamu sometimes depending on the offer. So there's offers that we require the 4-night minimum stay or the 5-night depending on the offer that you're looking at. If you're not looking, if you're just getting contracted rates and booking, there's no minimum stay required.
Sara nos pregunta, Fran, si hemos incrementado el número de helados, que son 42, porque parece ser él este verano tiene que terminar de probarlos. Seguimos con 42, Fran, pero haremos un par de ellos más.
Sí.
Hay una,
And
hay
I
una-
see yoga and meditation. If they book private, there's a cost to it. If they're part of the calendar of activities, they usually are once a day. They're not, they're complementary in both. All activities depend a lot on the calendar that we send out weekly. So if it's on the calendar, we specifically mention the ones that are paid or not. And then private, there's always a cost, of course, because we need to move the team there. But we always try to have all activities at least every 2 weeks complementary. So if you're not sure that you're gonna enjoy snorkeling because you've never done it, we're gonna have complimentary at least once or diving. Always depends, of course, on the availability of team, occupancy levels, and everything. But even just focusing on the complementary activities, there's a lot to choose from in both.
Aquí, si me lo permites, Sara, te voy a interrumpir un segundito, solamente compartir con todos ellos que, por ejemplo, tenemos a las 11 de la mañana en Six Senses Laamu, sin coste alguno para todos los clientes, una actividad con nuestros biólogos que sale desde Chill Bar y es una actividad que no tiene coste. Y lo que decía Sara es que siempre hay un programa de actividades, entre las cuales se incluyen también actividades de yoga. Y es un programa que si te adaptas a él, pues de alguna forma a las 7 de la mañana puedes tener una actividad gratuita. Como dice Sara, si quieres hacer una actividad en privado o aerial yoga o algún tipo de meditación en concreto, siempre tendrá un extra charge, ¿no? Pero es un
Yeah.
programa muy completo y cambia mensualmente que vosotros, si queréis tenerlo en anticipo, pues también os podemos hacer partícipe de ello.
Now, Luis is asking about the airport fee. So arriving, everyone has access to the lounge. And then on departure, both properties, we usually have a fee of $80 per person to stay there. It's, to be honest, very, very rare that anyone requests access to the lounge on departure because we try to accommodate as best as possible the seaplane and make sure that it matches the flight. Of course, we do not control the seaplane schedules for neither property. It's always depending the main airport. But with the options that we have throughout the day, we always try to combine it. If it's a late flight, we're not going to put the guests on a early morning seaplane for sure. But if there's an extended time that they need, they can also access the airport lounge with that fee.
Hay dos preguntas, Sara. Una es de Manuel Ordóñez, nos pregunta por el máximo de ocupación que tenemos en la villa más grande, porque tiene una familia de 8.
In Laamu, we have 4 bedrooms. So we always consider the double occupancy, but depending on the age, if you have kids, depend on the age of the kids, we can see with the reservations team where we can fit. Baby cots is always possible, extra beds. We always need to check on the general occupancy of the hotel and if it's possible to accommodate. So as a basic rule, we always consider every room to be just 2 adults and a baby cot possible in every extension. Anytime that it's needed an extra bed, we need to check with the reservations team. I'm looking at the question about the meal plans and restaurants. So in Laamu, the ones that are excluded are the Japanese and the leaf. So the Asian option and the leaf are excluded from the meal plans. And in Kanuhura, it's just the drift, the one that it's going to be closed because it's called considered a restaurant, but it's also a different experience, so it's not included on the meal plans.
Te
The
voy a
meal plans is also, sorry, just to mention that whenever you ask for full board or half board, the beverage package is on the side. So we have a beverage package that is just focused on juices and soft drinks. And then we have the other package with alcohol that we can add to that.
No, nos preguntaba Belén que cuál de las dos resorts tiene, digamos, más mejor propuesta para familias, ¿no? Y le quería responder que ambos dos son fantásticas propuestas para familias. Como decía Sara en la presentación, Kanuhura está reconocida como la mejor playa natural de todas las Maldivas. Pero indistintamente, Laamu es un hotel en el que también tienes
Yeah.
playa y también el número de actividades y el número de propuestas también para los pequeños es fantástica, ¿no? Quizás un
Yeah, both with Grow with Six Senses, so both with the place for kids. It will depend a little bit on the age of the kid and the villas that we have available. Because imagine that we only have the over water in Laamu that we have mainly over water. It's not, we don't consider as, adapted to a kid of 3 years old, for instance. So we would suggest Kanuhura. If we're talking full availability in both are amazing for kids because we focus very much on the activities that we have available for them. And there's the Grow with Six Senses. They can stay there for free, complimentary from 9 to 6 p.m. We also have at the paying cost, but we also have the babysitting service in both. So both properties. It really depends on the specifics of the family. There is another option to arrive to Laamu, yes, that consists transfer of seaplane and then boat. We don't recommend it, not because the seaplane is it's ours, but because you have to have guests jumping out of the sea. So they will go on a seaplane, they will land nearby, then they go in a boat, and then they do half the trip again. It's more or less half-half. So let's consider an hour of transfer. It's like half an hour seaplane and half an hour boat. So it's not as comfortable. And in terms of cost, it's very much the same or close by.
Voy a responder yo, si quieres, a la última. Dice Antonio Peregrín que si las dos propiedades ofrecen all inclusive, decirte, Antonio, que como all inclusive ninguna de las dos propiedades trabaja ese tipo de régimen. Sí, como comentaba también Sara, tenemos un paquete de bebidas alcohólico y no alcohólico para completar en este caso la estancia del cliente, pero no somos en este caso propiedades que trabajemos el todo incluido. Y yo creo que hacemos una última pregunta y pasamos, si te parece, al sorteo, que sabemos que está todo el mundo.
They're just asking if you can combine two hotels. We do have a lot of people doing that. It's just important to say that the guests always need to come back to Male. So it's not possible to go directly from one property to the other, always back to Male and then do the trip to the property. But yes, a lot of guests, if they're staying for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they do combine the two properties.
Also, Carolina is asking if both hotels have their own reef and if you can enjoy the reef from the villa directly.
Not as much from the villa in either properties, but in terms of reef, if it's a guest that really enjoys snorkeling at reefs and knows about it, Laamu, it's gonna have the most beautiful reef ever. But you also see it in Kanuhura, but it's not as big and as spectacular as in Laamu if we're differentiating the both, yeah. And someone asks, I think, that
Y
if it's
pregunta,
diving for kids,
Fran,
and yes.
sí, Fran, en los dos resorts tenemos dos centros de buceo, pueden bucear directamente, independientemente de la edad. Lo que sí que tienes que saber es que ellos tienen que tener el PADI de alguna forma y que en este caso son los instructores los que deciden si el cliente tiene aptitudes para hacer buceo o no,
Sí.
¿eh? Pero ambos
And
dos permiten.
and kids younger than 12, they're not allowed in Leaf. Yes, it's an adults only restaurant.
Pues estamos listos para el sorteo, ¿no, Berta? ¿Qué nos espera?
Si todos estamos listos, pasamos directamente al sorteo.
¿Está todo el
Así
mundo
que,
inscrito? ¿Está inscrito todo el mundo?
bueno,
Tenemos 125 participantes, así que primero de
sí,
todo,
tenemos 125 participantes y por eso estamos apuntando, que creo que se ha apuntado a los
pero,
últimos que se han apuntado a última hora, les tenemos que apuntar. Así que voy a ir diciendo lo que
pero
vamos a
les damos las
sortear.
gracias a todos, ¿no? 125, muchísimas gracias por dedicarnos este
Very
ratito
much,
antes de
yes.
comer, así que muchísimas gracias y esperamos y os deseamos mucha suerte para este sorteo. A ver quién va a
Mhm.
Maldivas un día como hoy.
Sí, justo en estos minutitos os recomiendo que aprovechéis por si no tenéis vuestro nombre puesto o la agencia a la que pertenecéis.
¿Yo lo tengo puesto, Berta? Porque yo quiero entrar en el sorteo, eso
Y yo
seguro.
también. Bueno, sí, también aprovecho de también y daros las gracias porque es la mayor audiencia que hemos conseguido en estas semanas y esperamos que siga
Sara,
creciendo.
enhorabuena.
Estamos
Muchas
muy
gracias, Sara.
contentos.
Thank you. Thank you,
Pues nada,
everyone. And
vamos.
I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, but I have moved to Madrid. So I'm now having a little desk at Alberto's and the Oasis team. So
Esta era
if
la
you're
última
ever nearby,
sorpresa.
just come by.
Tenemos que deciros que aunque estamos hoy en tres pantallas diferentes, tenemos a Sara en la oficina con nosotros, así que la
Sí.
tenemos muy cerquita y cualquiera de vuestras preguntas y siempre cualquiera de vuestras inquietudes estaremos encantados. El reto era que lo hubiera hecho en español, pero estamos seguros que para dentro de poquito, porque la estamos
Well,
enseñando.
face to face, I can try my portuñol.
Venga, vamos a hacer el sorteo que seguro tienen que ir a comer.
Vale, pues lo primero de todo, decir qué es lo que vamos a sortear en primer lugar y pediros que no desconectéis hasta el final, ¿vale? Bueno, se van a sortear 2 noches en Six Senses Laamu en media pensión con un traslado gratuito para una persona. Bueno, las noches son para 2 personas, el traslado para una persona, por si no me había
Bueno,
explicado.
vamos a ver. A ver
With
quién
half
tiene.
board. So
Así
it's two
que,
nights with half board for two people and then one return seaplane.
sí, vale, pues dadme un minuto que chequeo con mis compañeras que está todo el mundo incluido y compartimos pantalla.
Pero esto es Laamu, ¿no? Yo
Sí,
creo que Kanuhura va a haber algo también.
lo descubriremos cuando acabe el sorteo.
Let's see the mood after.
Mientras cambies la pantalla, vamos a ver.
Venga, vamos allá.
Mucha suerte a todos. Gracias, Paula. Gracias, Cristina. Qué nervios, la verdad es que sí, yo también estoy nervioso. Sobre todo porque no veo la pantalla ahora mismo de la ruleta. No os desconectéis.
No la ves todavía porque son muchos participantes. Estamos chequeando que todo
Sobre
está bien
todo
para que luego
recordar,
tengamos ya.
recordar, no os desconectéis, por favor, porque sí que pedimos que a la persona que se le nombre dé acuse de recibo, muestre su felicidad. Si estuviera desconectado, haríamos un siguiente sorteo para el premio.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sorry, perdón.
Si no, yo creo que lo más fácil, Sara, es que a todos ellos les demos dos noches. Yo creo, Sara, que no nos podéis dejar ahora así en esta situación. Así que a lo mejor es mejor que no haya ruleta. Gracias, Kira. Me alegro de saludarte. Estamos ansiosos, todos estamos ansiosos. El directo es lo que tiene.
O sea, hay tanta gente apuntada que la ruleta está escacharrada, o sea, está a trompicones. A ver,
Además va a coincidir con Antena 3 con la ruleta de la fortuna ahora, o sea que... Berta, estoy nervioso ya.
yo también.
¿Me confirmas, Berta, que podemos...
Vale, la ruleta está dando muchos fallos, así que vamos a cambiar el método de sorteo y...
Oh,
¿Vale? Así que, bueno, lo que sí tenemos es, tenemos a todos los participantes ordenados del 1 al 122. Bueno, teníamos 125, pues al 125, pero si no le toca a la persona que no está presente, si le toca a la persona que no está presente,
Sí.
pues no. Así que, Sara, te vamos a pedir que digas un número aleatorio entre el 1 y el 105.
Between,
1 and 125.
so for Laamu, I'm going with 14 since we just celebrated our 13th birthday.
Ok, so
oh.
number 14 is 14. Ángela Gil de Boayas. ¿Estás ahí, Ángela?
Me parto, sí.
Ángela Gil,
Genial,
enhorabuena.
maravilloso.
Qué
Enhorabuena,
bien.
Ángela.
Congrats!
Pues nada, Ángela,
Congratulations.
vas al Lamu, así que enhorabuena.
Laamu.
Thank you
Eh,
so
¿Estás
much.
contenta con tu premio?
Yes, yes, so happy. Thanks for the number.
It was great. It's an anniversary, so it was the great number to choose.
y el equipo va, nos preguntan, bueno, pues no dependerá de Ángela. Antes de que se corte la conexión y que terminéis, deciros que vamos a hacer, por todos los problemas, otro sorteo de otras
En
dos
este
noches,
caso va a
¿no?
ser de Kanuhura. En este
Nos
caso va a
vamos
ser
a...
de Kanuhura para que tengáis oportunidad también de conocer Kanuhura. Y va a ser lo mismo, van a ser 2 noches para 2 personas en media pensión con el traslado de vuelta gratis para una persona, ¿vale?
I leave Alberto now to say a number. So the pressure is not always on me.
Wow, pues mira, voy a decir, has dicho que se inauguró, ¿no? Lo hemos inaugurado Kanuhura en el 2023, así que voy a decir el número 23 para que tenga un sentido.
Carolina González. Ha
Carolina
puesto la
González.
agencia, así que Carolina González de
Uy, tiene que salir Carolina. Enhorabuena. A ver si Carolina está.
Oh,
Carolina. I think she's not here. Sí,
Carolina
sí.
González está. Hola, Carolina.
Carolina, abre el
De
micrófono.
Icarion.
Carion.
De
Cuéntanos.
Icarion. No tienes
¿De
micrófono,
qué agenda?
¿verdad?
De Carión, vale. Pues nada, abre el micrófono y dinos
Woohoo!
unas palabras.
Qué guay, muchas gracias. Pues la verdad es que sí, qué guay.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola,
Hola.
enhorabuena, Carolina. Muchísimas
Nada,
gracias.
muchísimas gracias. Es que como no me suele tocar nada, digo, seguro que no soy yo.
Pues mira, siempre hay
Así
una
que nada,
primera
pues
vez.
qué guay, muchísimas gracias, ¿eh? Qué
Pues
bien, qué
nada,
bien.
enhorabuena. Yo
Congrats,
os
yeah.
pasaremos el email.
Genial.
Y a todos, los asistentes, perdonar un poco la situación creada con la ruleta. Como veis, ha sido completamente
Era nuestra famosa ruleta,
del
estábamos esperando la
momento,
famosa ruleta, pero es que
pero
nos...
creo que hoy ha sobrepasado el número de participantes y la ruleta se nos ha escacharrado, así que hemos vuelto al formato
It was
tradicional.
for good reasons, yeah.
Daros las gracias a todos, daros la enhorabuena, sobre todo Sara, darte las gracias porque sé que el reto era muy grande y mandarte un besito que aunque no te tengo cerca de la oficina, pues te lo daré mañana. Así que gracias
Thank
Y
you so much, everyone, for joining. It was
y
really amazing.
recordarles, Berta, ¿no? Que la semana que viene tendremos otra propuesta, ¿no?
Sí, la semana que viene habrá otro webinar más, como siempre en jueves 1:30. Y nada, estar atentos que mañana mandaremos la convocatoria, ¿vale?
Desearos muchísima suerte en los próximos sorteos y daros las gracias. Que tengáis un feliz jueves todos. Gracias, Berta.